Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for starting the week with us. It's, of course, the third day of the week and we have 2 more days before we wrap it up and get ready for Breakfast Extra. You're welcome to the show. I am Olive Emodi.
And I'm Joe Hansen, welcoming you to Breakfast Central on a Wednesday morning. Well, it's bright and early, although I think Olive did get the memo that it's going to be a brownie Wednesday.
Somebody was copying me.
A bit. I think you were copying me, if I'm right. But we're not alone. We've got the man who didn't get the memo.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did not. Benga as well.
It's a blue Wednesday for me. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. On the program today, Breakfast Central, we have quite a lot in store for you, so you want to sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm the third musketeer that's not went brown.
Hopefully, our producers will start giving us color code of the week and we're like, guys, tomorrow's uniform is blue, different shades of blue. So let's see how that goes.
Well, it kind of like reminds us of where we came from as children, preparing to go to school. Sometimes you look at the kids these days and you go down memory lane and say, I remember when I used to get tired of wearing this particular color every day. But
it's even more exciting for the kids today because they have today we're wearing inter-house sports outfits, tomorrow they have different outfits, but it's more expensive for parents. So parents, my heart goes out to you.
I understand. Anyway, let's bring to you our wake-up conversations this morning. If you just tuned in, don't forget you can tweet us or you can X us. That doesn't really sound a bit, like an X or something. But then again, drop your comments and let us know what you think. Wake up conversation story number 1 on a Wednesday morning has got to do with hoodlums. Yes, I know you're wondering, hoodlums, why? What's going on? Well, stories emanating all the way from Plateau State says that hoodlums are not happy with the Nigeria Labour Congress. Why? Because of the shelved tariff hike protest. Now, newsmen across, as reported by The Guardian, noticed that on the roads of Ahmadu Bello Way and Murtala Mohammed Way, they saw hoodlums waiting patiently so as to pounce and loot shops and so on. They were all gathered waiting just for the whistle to blow that the strike has started, and then they would run into the streets and do what they know how to do best until they heard the information that there were police officers around and that there will be no more looting as planned, because the NLC decided to shelve the strike, the proposed strike, and that didn't make them happy. Some, according to what we hear, expressed dissatisfaction with the fact that they all got ready to join the protest. We all know why they joined the protest, though.
I'm a little biased to that piece of news. I wanted to ask who actually reported that.
Who's the spokesperson
for the Agberos? Who reported that? I know I'm a bit biased. I'm biased because I worry that Nigerians certainly have a right to protest. And in the last 2 protests, what we've seen is they've always, in a way, tried to control the protest.
Or guilt-trip
Nigerians into protesting because they say, oh, hoodlums are going to hijack the protest like they did with the NSAS. And in many cases, the argument will be that some of these hoodlums are manufactured, they're engineered in order to frustrate the protest. So I'm a little worried about that.
And besides, it's our constitutional responsibility to protest. Every Nigerian has the freedom of expression. It's the duty of Nigerian police force and other security agencies to be there to provide cover and protect them, regardless of whoever has an ulterior motive. But let's move on to our next wake-up conversation story of the day. This is in Kano. Yes, the Kano State House of Assembly passed the Kano Landscaping and Beautification Agency bill. I love the sound of this. You wouldn't know the details of the bill. I mean, it sounds nice on the surface, but going deeper into the details, like they say, the devil is in the detail. The bill imposes a fine of 25,000 naira for urinating or defecating in public. I think this should be a nationwide law and fine.
I have mixed feelings about that.
You also have mixed feelings about this one.
Yes,
too.
I do.
How can you have mixed feelings?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I have mixed feelings about it. First of all, it's why I don't shake a number of people, because you see people every time they've on the road, done their thing. And no. I'd rather you stay my cloth, but don't touch my palm, please. Don't touch my hands, because they have those hands been, and have you washed them? We see them every morning when we're coming to work. They're defecating on the road, they're urinating on the road in traffic. People come out, sweep out their things, and just, you know, do what they have to do on the road, and it's a bit embarrassing. We should do better, because the truth is, these same people who will urinate and defecate on the roads here in Nigeria, when they go to London or they go to other countries, they don't do that in public. In countries where there are rules and regulations, they don't do that. So whilst I feel, sorry, let me say the other part about why I have mixed feelings. We also, unfortunately, are a country that are, you know, we are battling insane levels of lack of access to public amenities like toilets. So if you're putting laws like that, are you ensuring that there are enough bathrooms and toilets for people to be able to access? Because you can't, again, cheat the call of nature. So yeah, mixed feelings.
True, you have to answer the call of nature. And I'm happy you just took the word out of my mouth for the access to public bathrooms. They should be strategic in many places, and not just, I mean, if you go to public car parks and you see the state of those bathrooms, you'd rather not answer the call of nature. It just reminds me of when Lagos State passed this bill. I believe it was under Fashola, and there was a bill to ban smoking too. And you know, people that answer the call of nature like to smoke along it. So imagine if you are in prison and you are asking your fellow prisoners, how did you end up here? Oh, I did this, carjacking, financial crime. You, what did you do? I answered the call of nature and I was smoking. It's just ridiculous.
Somehow. I just can't imagine. But then again, for me, it goes the other way. And the way simply is this. I think while imposing these fines on defecators, you should also be able to provide public latrines so that they could also use it in case they are pressed. But I remember at some point here in Lagos State, when public latrine was everywhere, they said you could use it. All of a sudden, it became a business plan for most people. They came and said, if you want to do the other one, you know, it's 100 naira back then. The quick one, 50 naira, you know, and so on and so forth. But the state, you know, it's breakfast. Let's not even go there.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day,
cereals in front of you.
I think that is something that also local government should look at, ensuring that they do. It shouldn't cost so much. Put bathrooms there. It's also an opportunity to create employment for people. There are people that can be there to clean the bathrooms and the toilets and ensure that they're in a decent state. But let's not start the show with a lot of...
And shout out to our eateries. You know, they've been seconding, apart from as public bathrooms.
Yeah,
because people just buy, you know,
I want to buy meat pie and do a quick number two. I've been guilty of that. I can't even lie. Okay.
We apologize.
No. They are doing the Lord's work. Let's move to our third story for the Wake Up Conversations. And this one is a bit scary. With the advent of AI, ChatGPT, and all the many options that have become available to make life easier, many would think it comes with its own, its own set of challenges, right? People are using ChatGPT for work, and it's making work a lot more productive. However, there's a dark side to artificial intelligence that some are starting to explore with deepfakes and the likes. Comedian AY put out a picture and a video that has been doctored. He was on a flight with Yul Edochie, and they're promoting his movie. Now, this video was doctored to see them kissing. This video you're seeing is not real. And I'm going to tell you the first thing to look at. She has 6 fingers. So if we can put that video again, count her fingers as quickly as you can. She has 6 fingers. Nobody, well, no regular person has 6 fingers. Now, the dark side to this is how many homes will probably, in the nearest future, be set apart because their family members will see video of, maybe the man will see his wife making out with another man. And how do you convince people who are not aware that this isn't artificial intelligence, that this isn't real, and it's a factor of artificial intelligence? How do you tell Facebook people that that video is not real? Because now, I'm sure that by today, the headlines on Facebook will start to talk about how AY is now in a relationship with Yul Edochie, and that they've seen them being intimate on the plane and blah, blah, blah. So it's just a very dark side that I wonder how we're going to navigate. But
the good thing is, I mean, technology is double-edged. The same technology that has this, there's a saying in Yoruba that the white man that made the pencil made the eraser. There are certain tools you could put the videos.
You should have said that in Yoruba.
I'd love to hear that in Yoruba because you remember the song.
So I mean, there are tools where you could put some of those videos, Google Lens and all of that, and it will show you the source. You just have to be tech savvy.
So is your mommy at home or our mommies that will see that video?
Of course, they'll believe it, but people need to be more ethical. Imagine campaign season, political campaign season, and what people come up with.
And that's a good angle that we should actually look at on Breakfast Central, hopefully sometime prior to the elections, because we're going to see a whole lot.
The role of artificial intelligence.
Remember the previous election, how an audio was doctored? Remember we heard so much different audio recordings. They said it was taken from a phone conversation. We did hear of that of Peter Obi and the others and so on. How true was it? It was hard to come by or believe because there are now apps that could actually mimic my voice. All it needs to do is take my voice, re-engineer my voice,
and put in the words.
Put it back on someone else's. I
know what's even scary about that. That when there's now actual evidence, people will deny it and blame it on artificial intelligence. So how do we find the line? How do we find that fine divide to have ethical journalism? Because everybody now is a citizen journalist. They're putting out clips, the bloggers, everybody is doing this work. So how do we ensure that even these citizen journalists are doing their work ethically? And
I mean, we're journalists, but I really don't like the word citizen journalist because everybody thinks you could just put up a story with their rules to it, their ethics, there's editorial standards we follow, but maybe because it's easy for people to take pictures and just write a few words. Will you allow a citizen doctor to treat you, or will you fly on a plane with a citizen pilot? Food for thought. If you haven't had breakfast.
Big guy, you're on fire this morning.
It's okay. It's on that note. It's okay. Let's douse the fire. Let's douse the fire. Anyway, that's it for Wake Up Conversations this morning. Let's take a look at the top stories here on Breakfast. I will join you at 9 a.m. It's left for Olive and, of course, Benga Borowa. But the top stories next.
Please don't leave. Don't leave.
Take a look at the top stories.
Sit at home. Anambra residents disregard Soludo's order. And away from that,
Telecom set to implement 50% tariff increase.
I want no more browsing. No. I don't know how we're going to do this one. But again, INEC 6 spotlight on party primaries as we count down to the elections.
Ketu residents plead for government's intervention over demolitions.
And the newspaper front pages, of course, do well to call in when we open the phone lines. All these and more on Breakfast Central.
Good morning. It's time for Breakfast Headlines. We begin the news in West Africa, Nigeria, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signed into law the bill establishing the North Central Development Commission. The development was revealed by the President of the Nigerian Senate, Godswill Akpabio, at the resumption of plenary activities on Tuesday, emphasizing the Commission's role in promoting equitable development in the North Central and across Nigeria. With the passage of the NCDC bill to law, Nigeria now has 5 established regional development commissions, catering for its different regions, including the Niger Delta Development Commission, the Northeast Development Commission, the Northwest Development Commission, and the Southeast Development Commission, and the just passed North Central Development Commission. The police in Edo State have confirmed Sunday's kidnap of the Onoge of Udo Egware, a traditional ruler in Igweben local government area of Edo State. Police public relations officer in the state, Moses Yamo, revealed details of the kidnap. In a statement, he explained that the total number of kidnapped persons was yet to be ascertained. He also noted that the traditional ruler was ambushed while commuting on a motorcycle, while the rider was killed in the process. And let's also tell you that the Special Offences Court sitting in Ikeja, Lagos, has acquitted and discharged a former Minister of Aviation, Femi Fani-Kayode, of the charge of medical forgery leveled against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Justice Olubunmi Abike-Fadipe, who freed the former minister while delivering ruling on the no-case submission filed by his counsel, held that the prosecution failed to establish a prima facie case against him. The court upheld the no-case submission filed by his counsel, Norison Quakers, senior advocate of Nigeria, and ruled that Femi Fanikaude has no case to answer as the FCC did not link him to the offense.
We'll now begin our conversation this morning by heading to southeastern Nigeria, looking at Anambra State, where the state government and security agencies have tried and continue to try all that they can to curb efforts towards the state stay-at-home order that has been initiated by the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. And there has, of course, been varied sort of obedience to this. But let's get what the true position is. We have our correspondent, Chinwe Ugele, in Anambra State. She's live in Awka now. Good morning, Chinwe. Thank you very much for joining us. What is the correct position? Would you say that there have been people who are defying this stay-at-home order, or are we having more people still obeying the stay-at-home order?
Good morning. I am right now at INEC Junction here in Awka, and everything seems normal. And from the feedback I got yesterday that I came into the to be a relative calm in the state. I have here with me a resident of Anambra State. She is a food seller here at INEC Junction. So, madam, can you tell us what the security situation is right now in Awka? The situation in Awka is very nice. Very nice, but I need to get a okay, so on the sister home, I'm on Cherry, I'm going to mention that. I met and I met from each of them. Yes, they are being so good. They are being so good. Okay, so can you check on the documents in the The truth is that it's not all about security or about people like in the north around us about security. Because if it's security, they are doing their work so perfect. Okay, so they are in our co-op and they might be your father. Yeah, government. Yeah, yes. Thank you, sir. So what she just said basically is that the people of the state will need to come together to support government and the security operatives in the fight against insecurity. And that's basically what nearly everyone I interviewed yesterday said, that government is trying on its own part. The operatives, which includes the police, the local vigilante group, they are all taking efforts. But then the people themselves will need to support government and the security operators for this fight to be truly successful. So the people are going about their businesses. There seems not to be any problem for now. But then, like they say, more needs to be done.
All right, Chinwe Ugele, thank you for bringing us updates there. We hope to see an Anambra State that would eventually be able to say that they have successfully dealt with insecurity and that they've been able to, move on to looking at other things. Benga, would you like to?
Oh, yes. And of course, this year is an election year in Anambra State, and I'm sure it will be top of the agenda of everyone that is contested. Thank you so much, as always, Chinwe Ugele and Awka, Anambra State. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
You're staying on Anambra State. Our focus is still on Anambra State this morning. We have, we'll take you to the southeastern part of the country, Anambra State, and we'll take this conversation further. We have in the studio with us Onyeka Nwafo, an APC gubernatorial aspirant, an MD and CEO of Yenko Medical Center. Warm welcome to you, sir, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central. Let's start with, they always say, without security, business can't thrive, people can't leave. So let's start with the biggest issue in Anambra State. Last December, last year, there were so many issues when it comes to insecurity. And of course, Mondays have been an enforced public holiday because IPOB's sit-at-home order. How would you rate Governor Soludo's how would you assess Governor Soludo's first term in office? Is there much to be desired, especially when it comes to the issue of security?
Okay, first of all, the Southeast has been having issues of insecurity. But what I always say, insecurity is there, but the will, the political will, the personal will, understanding that problem of insecurity can cripple an entire community, can cripple an entire state or entire region when it's not properly addressed. So when you get to the issue of assessing Governor, His Excellency Governor Chukwuma Soludo of ABCA performance in his just 1 year that will be, his 4 years in office that will be concluded next year, March, is nothing to write home about. Because let me take, for example, from last year, there was a report which was published that Anambra was ranking #1 on the ransom that was paid to kidnappers. Imagine we are a state that was at time adjudged to be the safest by a former Inspector General of Police, has now fallen to the part that the state is now taking lead, #1. And to show you that the approach adopted by His Excellency, the Governor of Anambra State, is not encouraging. Because when you talk of insecurity, you talk of people's life, you talk of ransom paid, and there are things that you cannot change. When someone is kidnapped and he pays ransom, that person gets bitter. Some of these people does not get released, they get killed. So it is already a zero performance from the time he took over in 2021 to December last year.
Is this a mindset that is expressed by the larger population in Anambra State, or is that just your opinion?
Well, you see, it is not my opinion. It is a general, I went on an inspection. When I came inside the flight, I met someone who we got talking. He said, I am coming back, but unfortunately, I will not get to Anambra. The person didn't know I was from Anambra. I said, why? He said, because he doesn't want to pay ransom. You can go to the streets of Anambra and find out. You know, insecurity cannot be politicized. The truth remains, when a place is not secure, it's not secured. It's a general problem which has taken lives. And no matter what you do, even if tomorrow you curb the insecurity, you can't replace the lives that were lost. These are people breadwinners, these are people husbands, these are people wives, these are people families. You have rendered them, the permanent sorrow lives in their heart. So it has nothing to do with me to say this is just my opinion. It is the general opinion of Anambrarians. People who want to tell themselves the truth. Even people that is inside this government, nobody is spared, because a kidnapper does not know whether you are APC or you are ABCA or you are PDP. Once he hits a target, he will kidnap anybody he sees on the street.
Quite frankly, it's been very concerning to see the rate at which kidnappings and killings have happened in southeastern Nigeria. Growing up, that wasn't the norm. We didn't see a lot of that. We all thought about that. Even when insecurity became a bigger conversation in Nigeria, we all saw it as something that happened more in the north. But we've seen a lot of that happening in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Let's talk about some of the factors that some have argued may have led Anambra State to where it is. One of which would be the continuous detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kano. There are those who say that, you know, him being let out will have an impact on solving the insecurity crisis in Anambra State. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I think I do. You see, I've always said it, that whatever that is going to bring peace, you know, when you talk of peace, there are prices to pay for peace. Whatever that is going to bring peace in the southeast, if releasing Mazi Nnamdi Kano is going to bring peace, why not release him?
But is there a guarantee that if he's released, there will be peace?
I cannot say, I don't know, but what I'm saying is from things I've heard around, and maybe so many people that has commented, I think as a leader, because remove it or not, he is in control of a large number of followers. He has a large number of followers. So I think his voice being released might add 1 or 2. This is my own personal opinion. I don't have powers to release him. But if you ask me, I would say, why not release him?
And then the conversation, of course, as we speak about Mazi Nnamdi Kano, I think it's also important to talk about Simon Ekpa, who has become a big conversation in the past few weeks, or would I say months. What are your thoughts on him and the influence or impact he may have on IPOB and invariably on the insecurity in Anambra State?
I might not be able to give a full detail because number one, the person you mentioned, Simon, does not live in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So it is still what you read on social media that I may rely on. And again, I've not been able, it's only the Commissioner of Police or maybe governors in the Southeast might be able to know the people behind all these things. And whatever way that we can achieve peace, as I said, he's not living in Nigeria, so he's living outside Nigeria. He's not in Nigeria at the moment, so there are little to more to what I can be able to contribute to someone off the shores of this country, because whatever happening is happening here. It's until the person gets here and he has explanations to make or one thing or the other, we can be able to know. You understand what I mean?
Now let's talk about the sit-at-home issue. I mean, Monday is the first day of the week, and if you can quantify the economic loss from the sit-at-home order, from the years it's been running, it will go into billions. The current governor, Governor Soludo, has consistently urged businesses to remain open on Mondays, yet residents fail to comply with this, fail to comply with the governor's directive. Instead, they sit at home. What does this say about the state's ability to enforce its authority and provide security? And why do people, Anambrans, comply? Is it a fear of attack? What reasons could you adduce to them not listening to the governor and opening businesses on Mondays?
You know, the issue of sit at home, number one, you should know that Southeast is a business region. In the morning, someone goes to open his or her shop to trade, and he expects people to come and buy. And there is this fear which has been created on the part of both the buyer and the seller. And this is where the government would have stepped up in its ways. Because when you take over a state as a chief security officer of that state, your action and inaction matters when you speak to people. I expected the governor to have come further to find ways, even if it means dialogue, even if it means the governor to set an example on Monday morning for him not to be in Oka, to show by example. Because you see, these things are very simple. When you want to lead somebody, you lead by example. You don't tell people, you don't issue orders. When the person knows his life is at risk, his or her life is at risk. You don't tell the person, go and open your shop, blah, 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 blah. I've given the order, I am going to any shop, any market that is not opened, I will confiscate it, do this, do that. They will sit down and tell you to go and take the market now. Because they are not seeing... They're not seeing government action. That's what is called action plan. And they say that this government, this governor is mashing his words, not just by saying, no. They need to see little things before they will not say, oh, I think the governor is going to the right direction.
So if you were governor, what would you do differently?
You see, part of it is that what I will not disclose here. But trust me, part of my plan is to end sit at home. Dialogue is still a key. There are all forms of it. You dialogue with the people. By then, you have to find out who these enforcers are. You dialogue with them. Build the morale to the market people, the market leaders. They need to see you, the plan you have. Because let me take, for example, if a government wants to provide something, a government comes up with a plan, you said, okay, this and that, we want to curb this, and for now, we are providing this and that. People has to see it. If you make a budget in government and say you are doing XYZ road and you are budgeted 400 billion for it, and the citizen wakes up and they didn't see the road, and 1 year goes, don't you know they will call your government that you're a scam? So there need to be more will, both politically and self-will.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm thinking as a business person in Anambra State, right? I'm putting myself in the position of an average business person. Beyond seeing the governor, you know, not complying with the sit-at-home order in order to exemplify it, I want to feel safe enough. I don't want to endanger my life, endanger my business. So it will be beyond the rhetorics for me. It would be being able to know that even if I go to business, I'm certain that my business is protected, that nobody is going to come and hurt me. do we have all that modality, all those modalities in place to ensure that when business owners do not comply with the sit-at-home order and they show up, they will not be killed, their businesses will not be burnt? Do we have enough security architecture in Anambra State to ensure that these people will feel safe enough? Because I believe beyond
the rhetoric.
Yeah, beyond the rhetoric, they want to feel safe to be able to go to. I'm sure that a number of these people are not comfortable with the sit-at-home order, but they're trying to protect their lives and protect their businesses.
Yes, that's what I said. It still boils down to the chief executive of the state, being Governor Chukwuma Soludo, who has not shown the political will.
No, I'm bringing this up because you said you're going to have dialogue.
Yes,
so
but
I don't know how much people don't want to hear talk. As a citizen, I wouldn't want to hear talk.
That's why I said I have plans to end sit-at-home. You see, part of the plans I have is what I will soon let the Anambradians know when campaign starts proper. Because you see, it boils down to the market we have in Anambra. I don't even think if you count it, if it's up to 20. So you see, those places can be secured every Monday. You already know where these targets are. So you channel your attention and the energy of the state. Because see, let me tell you, those markets that are closed, the state loses revenue. So what should be on your mind is, how much will I use to make this market to open? And how much am I losing if this market closes? If you check it and the amount you're going to lose if this market closes is more than the money you will spend as a chief executive of the state to make sure that this market opens. Why not go ahead and open the market? Because the economy of the state is dropping day by day.
Now, you plan to run for office, for the highest office in Anambra State, and you've gone around, you said you've gone to do your investigations. To what extent do you think IPOB enjoys sympathy amongst Anambrans? And recently, the Court of Appeal just upheld the proscription of IPOB as a terrorist group. What implications will that have for the operations of the group?
Certainly, as I said, I might not be able to say all it might have to the group because I don't have the master plan of the group.
And you don't speak for them.
And I don't speak for the group.
So, but public sentiments among Anambrans,
first and foremost,
are they tired of sitting at home?
They are. No, but do you know what Monday is? Monday, if I want to classify it in a layman's language, is the next day to make money after spending the one you have made the weekend. The weekend you went to enjoy yourself in the weekend. Imagine when you enjoy yourself in the weekend and on Monday you are still having another holiday. So you see, in some places, not all the southeast. In Enugu, for example, markets are open. Go and confirm. Ebonyi, for example, markets are open.
So it's just in Anambra State?
Anambra has the most of the highest, where markets are closed. Go to Enugu, take your time, you have correspondence, send them to Enugu. You see markets open, people trading. And you know that one of the largest market in West Africa, if I'm not mistaken, is the main market in Onitsha.
Okay, I want us to move away from this sit-at-home conversation soon, but I think I want to put a lead to it. You've said that if you were the governor, you would ensure that you have dialogue with all the people who are the enforcers of the sit-at-home order. Then you spoke to security when I asked you, and you said, checking the numbers to see if it will cost you more or cost you less to secure these markets. So I believe that's what part of the plans that you would have. I don't know if you're willing to share other plans, and I know you say that you would let these plans out when you officially announce campaign season, but you're an Anambrarian, and if Anambra people watch and see these and see that, okay, these are some of the plans that this man has for us. Because it's just like with Nigeria, every person coming, they've made promises. Leaders keep making promises, but they fall short of these promises. How many people have promised to stabilize power? We keep seeing all these promises and it just feels like mere talk. So if an Anambra person watching this wants to be able to say, can I give my vote to this person? Can I trust this person? So maybe share with us, some of the things you feel like should be done. And the way that I see it, it doesn't matter even if it's not something that happens then. Wouldn't it favor you if the sit-at-home order ends before you get into office? So you don't have to deal with that problem.
You see, as I said, lovely, I want to share it. But the present government in power, being government of Governor Chukwuma Soludo, it feels that they know it all and they don't accept mistakes. Yes, because I could remember when issues of kidnapping was happening last year, there was a statement I saw online, on Instagram, that because what is going on in Anambra is because there are billionaires where they will get money. You see, that is a very, very terrible statement to come from a chief executive officer of a state. So you're not trying to tell, because I'm taking this to somewhere, so you're not trying to let us know that crime can continue because rich people exist.
No.
You understand? I saw it, that rich people. So even if I sit down here and say it, next thing you hear is that, oh, this is the part of the plan we have already been trying to do, and you just brought it up, there is nothing there. As I said, dialogue is number one.
And force? I mean, in another interview, you mentioned using force as well.
Dialogue is number one. It's only when dialogue fails.
Then
you apply. Force is securing the market. Because remember, those traders need confidence. It is confidence they need. Nobody wants to lose his or her life. They want to see that my shop will not be closed, I will not be harassed. Nobody comes in to shoot me, nobody comes in to destroy my things. But before you do that, dialogue is essential. Because let me tell you, have you asked yourself why amnesties are granted to some set of criminals sometimes? You think that the government cannot take force on them also? No. But there are things sometimes you need to sit down and talk with them.
Okay.
Because if money, do you know part of the reason why criminality is thriving? Because the venture is making money. So that's why most of times criminality thrives. So, but when you sit down and let people know that criminality does not go anywhere, see, I can offer you so many things. I can sit down and offer you people a future more than what you feel you have. These are young men.
See, that amnesty conversation will be, it's another conversation for another day, but let's move on.
APC primaries are coming up on the 5th of April, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yesterday, the APC's national chairman, Alhaji Ganduje, he said that don't use your money to scatter APC. He was talking to Anambra. Ganduje tells Anambra billionaires. There's also a conversation about consensus candidate. Why do you think the APC chairman made that statement, and what's the problem with billionaires? You did mention Soludo's comment on billionaires, and now the APC national chairman is saying don't use your billions to scatter APC. And would you support a consensus candidature for an APC flag bearer for the Gobble polls?
No, obviously, unless if that consensus candidate becomes me, I will not support it. People should go to the poll, primary should be conducted, the most popular candidate should win. I think our great national chairman, His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, has reasons for him to have made that comment. Me and you know that Anambra has a lot of billionaires.
Are you one of them?
Well, I will not answer that here because maybe I might not want to disclose some certain things. And so, but you know, he has reasons for saying that. Only he knows. Maybe there might be moves one way or the other, but you see, that him saying it shows that he stands for integrity. He's making a statement. And that statement, as they say, to who it may concern. He didn't call anybody's name, but he has made a statement, all the aspirants should play by the rule. Instead of using your billions to look for who to buy, channel it to the welfare of the growth of the party.
But there was a consensus candidate, and they decided that consensus candidate, you'd be okay with it?
I'll be okay with it, because I have...
As long as it's you.
I know, I'll be okay with it, because I have plans to go and change Anambra. Because Anambra is in a big darkness.
Wow.
Yes, truth be told. Truth be told.
Okay.
And I believe I'm going to emerge victorious at the primary.
Why?
Yeah, because...
What do you think is different about you that, you know, the other candidates, the current governor probably doesn't have? Or what promise do you want to make to the people of Anambra that they haven't heard before and still not yet manifested? Okay,
let me tell you, this particular government that is going to expire, because it will end, definitely. The people of Anambra, on the 8th of November this year, we vote out Governor Chukwuma Soludo. You know why? They have lost trust. You see, leaders to always understand that statements you make before the election and statements you make after the election should be matching each other. See, I could remember that during his campaign, he said he's going to make Anambra, Taiwan, whatever. But me and you know that these things are not possible.
But Taiwan wasn't built in a day.
But did you lay the fact? No, which second time? Second time you come up with another story. Another story will now be that fiscal whatever. Maybe security will be why Taiwan is not going to come up. And Anambranians, we are watching. So you don't tell people, see, I have said it times without number. When you lose trust from the people, you have lost it all.
Right.
You can't bring it back. Okay, let me give you an example. Anambra was heaven of kidnappers. Suddenly the election was approaching. Governor Chukwuka Soludo rolled out security outfit. My question becomes, what were you doing for the last 34 months in office? You kept quiet, people were being killed, kidnapped. I see what he's doing as political gimmicks, methods to win an election. But you see, Anambrans are wise.
Okay, I
Seriously.
guess the countdown to the elections have begun, and like we all would say, may the best man win. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, it's been quite an interesting conversation we've had here, but let's move into another conversation. Residents of Bello Street in Ketu, Lagos are calling on the government to intervene after demolition teams moved in unexpectedly, threatening to pull down marked buildings without prior notice. Many of the affected residents claim the process is illegal and say they were not informed or given any official documentation before the demolition began. News Central's lead correspondent Bernard Akede visited the area and now reports.
It was an unusual and tense morning here on Bello Street, Ketu. News Central arrived after receiving distress calls from residents who claim their houses were about to be demolished without warning. Several buildings had been marked for demolition, but according to the residents, no proper notice was given.
My landlord didn't say anything about demolition or receiving anything when I rented out this place. And even till now, there's still no papers that has been shown to me. Then I asked around from the bailiffs that I saw, like, what exactly is going on? They said they have an order to demolish this old line for the street. They wrote like almost this on every house on this side of the street. And before our agents got here, we already lost a bit of security, which is our fence that covers the security of the house, the store. I'm very confused, I'm tired, I've cried because I'm really not sure what's going on.
While inspecting the area, it became clear that some buildings had been marked for demolition, but the markings appeared selective, raising questions about why certain properties were targeted while others remained untouched.
At this point, selected houses like this were marked with this identification. Some has gotten their fence down, all because of these documents. This is not a new house. This belongs to my father. The land, I built the house on it, renovated. How come the Oba Lukosi will just decide to come out of the blue moon and say they are taking possession? Waking up overnight to now say you want to take possession. Look at the house beside. The house is not included. The next house is not included. This house is not included. Why is it that selected house is being included?
Many affected residents, some whom had lived in the area for decades, are now calling on the Lagos state government to intervene before they lose their homes entirely.
Mo ti wà mí báyìí láti 88 ọkọ mi ti kú tí mo ti ń forí fa gbogbo wàhálà ẹ̀ tí mo wà nínú omi nínú ìdààmú pákó ni máa ń tò sílẹ̀ fi roko ń bí báyìí tọ́lọ́run fi ń bá mi tún bí báyìí ṣe tó di láàárọ̀ ìṣàlẹ̀ nìkan wá ń gbálẹ̀kùn gbàgbàgbàgbàgbà ìgbà tó ní wọ́n fẹ́ túnlẹ̀ yìí ta o kíjọba dìde kó ràn mí lọ́wọ́ o torí mi ìlẹ́nì kankan àfọlọ́hun.
However, a man who claimed to be the son of the Onikosi, the traditional ruler of the area, spoke off camera. He alleged that landlords had been notified about the demolition plans and invited for discussions, but failed to attend. The situation remains unclear, with conflicting accounts from residents and local authorities. News Central will continue to seek responses from government officials to understand why these demolitions are taking place and whether due process was followed. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
And to bring us more on this story is the man himself, our lead correspondent here at News Central, Bernard Akede. Good morning, Bernard.
Welcome to Breakfast Central.
It's not pleasant times. You know, it's a sad story to be reporting. I think the story that broke my heart the most from the report you did was the mother who's been there since 88, and her husband, the widow, yes, she's been there since 88. Her husband had passed, and this is not the first time we're having this kind of conversation in Lagos. We've seen it happen time and time again, where the people would say that, you know, they were not informed about this. But give us deeper insight, maybe areas that were not showed in the package.
And a background to your covering the story.
Excuse me. Okay, so we got this distress call. Basically, somebody sent pictures of I think documents from the courts, and explaining that their buildings were about to be demolished, and so we rushed to there. That was on Monday. Today is day 3 of following up with the story, and indeed. It was like, they woke up and saw red markings of paint, like you saw on screen there, on their fences. And there were some young men, these boys who have sledgehammers, who are being hired to demolish or break down, stuff. And that was just it, and then there were numbers of police officers in trucks, and even a truck that looked like a Black Maria or something like that. And they said, well, some people were trying to record what was going on. They were forcefully pushed into the Black Maria, being stopped from recording. So the long and short of the whole story is that they said the traditional ruler, I think is the Onikosi of Ikosi land, that's in Ketu area, came up with a document and saying that these people did not have proper documentation to stay in that area. Probably they bought the land, but it wasn't legit, or something of that sort.
Yeah, but that's not the responsibility of the
traditional ruler. Exactly. Yeah. But then here they're saying that because the traditional ruler and his family were the ones who sold that land, so they're coming back to reclaim. Now, 2 things. Yesterday, gist that filtered to us from around the area had it, and this is unconfirmed anyway, that the initial person who sold the land may have been the brother of the ruler who had passed, and now the ruler is trying to get back the land. Like that lady said in Yoruba, trying to reclaim the land. We've made efforts to speak to the traditional ruler. I spoke to his son yesterday, and he said they would like us to come and speak to the Oba. So I agreed. I said, yes, why not? That's what we want. To hear both sides. But apparently he said, not today. That was yesterday, not today. That they will let us know when it will come. So we've only been able to hear from the residents who actually have been crying out. As of this morning, I got a message saying that the excavators are still there. Yesterday, an excavator was there. Excavator is still there. That when the excavator stopped working yesterday, people now manually were taking out people's roofs.
What?
That's terrible. And you mentioned something about law enforcement. The law enforcement was there. There was a Black Maria stationed just to... Do you think they're there to implement any court order? And has there been any official response? Because this it's a sitting time bomb. Things could go wrong, and it could lead to a serious breakdown in law and order.
Exactly.
Has the government issued a statement? Have they made any comments on what is going on in Ikosi?
No, there's not been any statement by the government. We haven't gotten any statement. There were some bailiffs from the court who were there on Monday when we got there. We couldn't speak to any of them. You know the way it is with law enforcement. They'll direct you to a certain person or people of higher authority. Same thing with the police who were there. They didn't speak to us. As of yesterday, though, something funny happened. So while we were recording live, I think the most senior police officer who was there was trying to stop us from recording. I tried to explain to him, look, constitutionally, there is nothing that's... Exactly, we're doing our job. And then kept going back and forth, and then somebody from the royal family, I believe he was also complaining, why are we here? He said they stopped people from recording. He's been told that nobody should record, and I was trying to educate the police officer. You cannot say you've been told that nobody should record. I am, with all due respect, I am a journalist, and we're here. If people complain that they are aggrieved, their buildings are being taken down for reasons that they feel is not justified or are not justified, they have a right to call the press, and we have the right to record and to publish or publicize what's going on there. But of course, in places like that, I've learned out of experience, and like the policeman did say to me in local lingua, he said, "Oga, you are not from here, I'm not from here. You are here to do your job, I'm here to do my job. Let's do it peacefully and go." And when it begins to get to statements like that, you know that your security is not assured. So we did the best we could. We had gone live already, and I told the crew, you know what we have is enough. Let's pack up and go. We can build our story from here. But the good thing is, one of the residents who had been reaching out to me this morning said they've been able to reach out to some members of the Lagos State House of Assembly and some other officials in Lagos State, and they're hoping that those people will come and they'll be able to discuss and have things clear. Again, it's because we've not been able to get the other side of the story. But still, it does look very, very dicey.
It does completely look dicey. At the end of the day, when conversations like this come up, yes, it's important to hear both sides of the story, especially when there are Nigerian citizens whose rights seem to be trampled upon. You don't just wake up one day and kick people out of where
we're talking of the
their home, all their lives, even though we've seen it happen in different parts. How do we I don't know. How do we forestall or ensure that we don't keep reporting stories like this, Bernard? You've had the unfortunate opportunity to report on several incidences like this. What can we do as a people? You know, I don't know if off the top of your head, do you think of any measures we can maybe put in place? They're saying that they've been inviting them to have conversations and they've not been showing up. Should the next step be to bring down the buildings? We saw this when we had the people at Mende, when the Mende estate too, but that was those who they said legally built
on waterways,
exactly. So it's just really concerning that we are starting to see a number of these repeat incidences here in Lagos.
Exactly. You know, unlike what we had in Mende and some of all these new rising estates on the island in Lagos, like the lady said, these are people who have built their houses since the 80s, since the 90s.
And then the alleged person that is responsible for this enforcement is a private citizen.
Exactly, it's a private citizen. It's not a government official. You know, so to answer your question, Olive, where I was going is, we should have proper statements from the government. One. Two, I think after going to court, if you know, if the court court proceedings are transparent and clear, the court documents should be made public, you know, to the people and to the general public. And then I think, you know, the media has been underutilized. I
was going to say that.
The media is underutilized. Push these things out into the media. Don't wait until the affected persons now call on the media and then you
law breaks down.
Exactly, or law breaks down. I was going to get to that. Now, if whether the traditional rulers or whoever it is that has claimed that these lands were unlawfully built upon had gone to the media first to say, with proper documents to say, this is what has been going on, we've invited these people so time, they haven't come, and we've gone to the court, these are the papers from the court, and we want the whole world to see that so time, so date, if these people don't respond to what we're saying, these are the issues that will happen, these are the judgment, these are the activities that will be meted out upon them, then it's in public eye, I beg your pardon, everybody can see, you know. And then, you know, you were talking about breakdown of law and order. The gentleman I spoke to said the same thing. Let's not wait until people now want to defend their properties. People have built houses there for years, you know, and then you want to bring it down. They have to defend what they've built and what they've worked for. Then your own people come and fight our own people, and then it turns into communal violence, like you said, and that's when they now start packing people into black marias and taking them away, and the story would entirely turn around. You know, we would have lost plot of how it all started. The only thing we'll see now is communal violence. This group of people are fighting that group of people, and they're taking them to jail. Unfortunately, people will get hurt if nothing is done properly.
Right.
But I'm sure we'll try and reach the Commissioner of Environment today to hear, or a Lagos State official to
and I think also that you know, you should reach back to your contacts. Let's get to hear from the Oba.
Yes,
you know, to know what the true position is. But thank you for covering the stories and for being the voice of the people. We certainly want the best for Nigerians. No Nigerian deserves to have their home taken away from them all of a sudden, overnight, home that they've lived in years. But that's the conversation we've had this morning. Let's share with you a recap of the conversations we've had and let you know what's coming up next. This morning, we looked at the sit-at-home order. Anambra residents disregard Soludo's order. We were joined by an incoming or a potential gubernatorial aspirant in Anambra State. Exactly.
Yes. And INEC 6 spotlight on political parties. And of course, the story that Bernard just shared with us. Ketu residents plead for government intervention over demolitions. You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's time for us to review the newspaper headlines. We have quite a number of newspapers here, but let's start with the Daily Independent. The headline, let's see, the Daily Independent, yes, the headline said, agriculture. Tinubu has taken us back to what we know how to do best. Ododo, that's the Kogi State governor. And the writer says, dedicates Independent Award to Kogi people, and state has spent over 9 billion naira in agriculture. So a lot of positive news there from Kogi State. There's also, on the front page of the Independent, federal government to raise 758 billion naira bond to clear backlog of pension liabilities. I remember earlier this week we were talking about how sacrilegious it is to even the thought of owing pensioners money after giving so much to the country. And Senate moves against the top of the paper. Senate moves against IGP, FIRS, NNCPL CBN, and others may issue arrest warrants. So if you want to know more on that story, grab a copy of the Daily Independent. And Tinubu approves reconstruction of Alao Dam in Borno at 80 billion naira, declines assent to Federal University of Education Newman bill. So that's what we have on the Daily Independent.
All right, now let's move to Nigerian Tribune and see what the front page of the Nigerian Tribune says. FEC approves 758 billion naira to clear pension liabilities. Again, when Benga talked about this in the first paper, we thought it was good news. We think it's great news. The OK 30 million euros concessional loan to support students' housing project, 80 billion naira for reconstruction and expansion of Alao Dam in Borno, 126 billion naira for MRI, CT scanners at OAU and others. Federal government says US, UK patients now seek medical care in Nigeria. Is it Guinea?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very unbelievable, but someone that is very close to us actually confirmed that his cousin came to Nigeria for treatment.
What kind of treatment?
Last December, because it says there's a backlog in the NHS or something.
Yeah, the UK, I know of the backlog in the NHS. Okay, well...
So it's positive news. I mean, back in the days, the University of UCH, University Teaching Hospital in Ibadan, used to have lots of foreign patients. So if we can, it starts with baby steps. Well, if we can develop our healthcare infrastructure to world-class level, we can also attract medical tourism and save crucial FX. So Nigerians will stop going to places like India
to get medical,
or Turkey for medical or whatever they do there.
When you say Turkey, what kind of medical?
Cosmetic procedures.
Okay, so you like...
No, I mean, I'm a journalist. We know these things.
Well, we have some people who do that.
Informed.
We have people who do that in Lekki. I wonder what's up with Dr. Anambra anyway. And it's still on the front page of Nigerian Tribune. Brain drain. Nigerian doctors earn less than cleaners abroad, Afe Babalola says.
That's, I mean, it's an indictment, and it's one of the reasons why we have that brain drain in the first place.
Right.
We've seen the devaluation of the Naira in the last year. Medical profession is a very noble profession, just like journalists and lawyers, and to hear this statement that cleaners, I mean, no disrespect to cleaners, it's honest living, it's your upright.
No, of course, there's no disrespect, but if you've put in so much...
that level of income.
You put in so much to be able to study to be a medical doctor. You put your life on the line. You study for hours. You study for years. Definitely, you should not come out living like a pauper. But let's move away from that. Police arraign suspended Ogun traditional ruler over assault, threat to life. Court grants him bail. I'm thinking this is the story that we took yesterday.
I appreciate the swift response of the police, but I'm not too... If you were
I'm not too sure of the outcome.
Yes, and the bail.
It's giving initial gra-gra.
Yeah, he used to be part of the police force, so maybe it's now we type of level. Yeah, so, but I hope justice will be served in that case, because what happened to that 73-year-old man is, it's despicable.
And it's also an indictment on the Nigerian police to say that, I was a part of the police, basically saying that you have them in your pocket. Yes. It's an indictment, and I hope that
you're above the law.
Exactly. Gunmen attack bus, abduct travelers in Ondo, and we have here Obaship crisis. I mean, that's a sad one. I just read it as if we're now used to hearing a number of all these things. Obaship crisis. Adeleke only followed process met on ground, Osun government says. Releases details on SRK, Ido, Ayegunle communal crisis. Says 2005 document affirms Owa Obokun as prescribed authority over Ido Ayegunle. We have 3 more stories here, and after which we will bring in our guests to join the conversation. 29 states removed speakers in 26 years. Use criticism against Nigeria to prioritize development, says Obi, and Nigeria to experience severe dry spell of over 27 to 40 days in some areas, federal government says. And these areas are Delta, Bayelsa, Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Lagos, and 7 other states to witness early rain, according to NIMET.
Do you prefer the dry spell or the...
I definitely prefer rain. Okay. I don't like dry season. I prefer winter to Nigeria's heat. I prefer the rain. It's just unfortunate that
even your holiday choices, you don't go to desert type
No, I
of
do.
places?
I have. I've been to, but it's just, I just don't like the heat. That's the problem.
Okay, you're watching Breakfast Central. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll bring in our guest. And we're still reviewing the newspaper headlines here. Do stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Nigeria's telecom operators have announced that they are developing new tariff pricing structures to align with the 50% increase sanctioned by the Nigerian government through the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. Alton Chairman Gbenga Adebayo stated that the tariff adjustment is necessary to ensure the sustainability of the telecom sector.
And here's what you should know about this development. Although the NCC indicated that the 50% tariff increase approved for the operators on 20th of January 2025 will take effect in February, the service providers said they will fully implement the new prices starting in March. In response, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have shelved the protests aimed at urging a reduction of the 50% increase to approximately 5% due to government intervention.
As the debate over the telecom tariff hike continues, the announcement of its implementation soon has left many Nigerians bracing for the impact on their daily need for communication. This morning on Breakfast Central, we're joined by Gbenga Adebayo, the chairman of the Association of Licensed Telecoms Operators of Nigeria, Alton, to further dissect matters arising from this development. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, you know, when Nigerians hear of an increase, it's always met with apprehension, an increase in anything, because it just feels like in the past 2 years, that's all we've seen, an increase in the cost of living, increase in pump price of petrol, increase in electricity tariff hike, and now Telco has joined the conversation. So are you experiencing any of the apprehension that Nigerians are feeling towards this, and how would you be able to address that?
How was this necessary?
Yes, we are feeling the apprehension of the people. We are within the same economic headwinds like other sectors of the economy. We feel the same pressure as other sectors. And our request for sustainable pricing is a survival mechanism for the sector. We came to a point where operators could no longer continue to guarantee service availability because of the prices that they were charging, which is way below cost. It was like producing a service at 160 naira and selling at 100 naira. There's a limit to which you can substitute this differential. And so for the industry to remain sustainable and continue to be that critical infrastructure that we require for driving the entire economy, it's very important for us to look at our pricing as one of the mechanisms for survival. So I think it's been more of an attempt to sustain the sector, an effort to sustain the sector more than for profit motives. And I think that speaks to the larger problem of the society where cost of energy has gone up, cost of all input has gone up, foreign exchange is what it is. And for a sector that have not had any review in more than 10 years, it's only appropriate at a time like this for reasons of sustaining the sector that we price right. And that is what the regulator has done to approve our request for review of tariff to reflect cost. You may also note in the conversation that our demand was way higher than 50%. Government in its wisdom has considered looking at all the variables and saying that start with a 50%, let's see where we get to, and we'll see what
starts.
Yeah.
Meaning that we should expect further increment.
If the dynamics if variables are not constant, we might come to another request for review. The reason is that we are facing basically the same trend of inflation as other sectors of the economy. We have foreign exchange obligation because we are one network on all networks. We connect to all other international networks and gateways. We have suppliers and services that are denominated in foreign currency. And when you have the significant movement we've had in our forex, it also affects an impact on our ability to pay those bills. So in order not to compromise our existence as an industry, it's very important that we price right. And I say it again as a matter of emphasis that tariff is best left to market forces. It should not be micromanaged by government. It should not be regulated or controlled by government. Just let the market dynamics play out and let prices be right. And that's why when the cost of tomato in the open market went up, there was no consultation because cost of input went up and the sellers decided to adjust their prices. when cost of transportation went up. 2 years ago, the cost of buying an economy ticket today, Lagos, Abuja, a 1-hour flight, it's cost of buying a business class ticket in a year ago. It's the cost of buying an economy class ticket today. Because the cost input to aviation services has gone up. So correspondingly, the market prices have to move. And so we are in the same...
The Nigerian Labour Congress currently put its planned strike on hold. They are proposing a 5% increase. Others have also said, you know, telecommunications should be considered essential service like water and power and should enjoy some sort of government subsidy. We do understand the plight of the telecom companies. You're there to make your profit-making organization, but at the same time, you're going through all these inflationary pressures and you have foreign exchange obligations, like you rightly said. What would be a humane face to this, a humane type of solution? Do we go for subsidies? And what would be a middle ground for
I think,
Labour and, of course,
yeah, you see, it's a logic of cost and effect. The effect is a review of tariff. There are causative factors leading to this, particularly issue of inflation and other trends in the global economy. That's what is leading to this. So if you say there will be human, I think the human face should address the causative factors and not the effect. The effect, I mean, what we're talking about today is actually the effect of a lot of other things that happen in the economies. And we appreciate the concern of the labor movement for what they have said and what they are doing. We also thank them, at least, for considering that it is important to look at the numbers again. But the fact remains that we are not the address for the Labour Congress. The address is actually government, because it is policies that led us to where we are. So if there is actually a point to take the battle to, it's actually to the doorstep of the government. And thankfully, our minister, our regulator, and the secretary to government and the head of national security advisor to the president has intervened on the matter. And they are talking to Labour in this matter, in this regard. And we hope that within the next 2 weeks that they have said that they will look at the numbers again. And I hope that even the justification will be for more than 50% and not less than 50%. Because you recall that when they say somebody requires oxygen to survive, let's measure it in liters. And somebody requires 100 liters of oxygen to survive. And the doctors say, administer 50%, let's see his recovery. And then you are coming to say, let's give him just 10%. You know what the implication will be on life. So we come to a point where, as an industry, there's a minimum to which we require to survive. And I think we have received just the barest minimum that we need to survive.
In the past few years, would you say that the government has been in any way subsidizing some of the costs that telco has had to incur in being able to survive, you know, and not collapse?
Not at all. We don't rely on government subsidy. We don't request for subsidy from government. We are private investors. We are private people. We are investing using shareholder funds, and basically we face the global economic trend. So we are not one of those industries that goes to government all the time for subsidy, for intervention and all that. We operate solely on shareholder funds and private sector funds.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Mr. Adebayo, let's talk about infrastructure and service quality. You said that the tariff hike will sustain the industry and it will help improve service quality and infrastructure. So what should Nigerians expect from this increase when it's implemented? First, we are going to now go through a process of recovery because we've been in fairly deep holes as an industry. We need to reactivate and re-energize systems. We need to upgrade and update new softwares. We need to invest in new hardwares. And that will take a bit of time. But gradually, we're addressing the quick wins to bring about improvement in quality of service. But ultimately, this will attract more investment. I remember talking to a public affairs analyst recently on this issue, and he mentioned shared services. That why is it that every telco needs to have the same base station? That is not possible to share with other networks. Can you educate us on that? And he said the chief executives of these telcos, they fly business class, and they have very fat salary packages. That why do Nigerians have to pay the cost of their lifestyle?
Well, that's not correct. I'm sorry to say. In the first instance, we are co-sharing and co-locating as an industry. We actually have members of our group who are actually co-locating companies. We have a number of the infracos, and we call them infrastructure companies, who own infrastructure and they lease the site to multiple players. So actually, when you see one telecom site, it may accommodate more than 2, 3, 4 players. So the issue of sharing infrastructure already exists. There's actually an industry policy on infrastructure sharing, which we're embracing, and significantly so. But you see, it's one industry, and we're all in the same boat. So if the boat is sinking, it will affect all passengers in the boat, including the pilot, including the driver and the captain and all that. So it was the industry that faces this significant economic headwind, and there is no isolation of any component member of the sector. And that's why we talk about the sustainability of the industry and not the sustainability of an individual company or a particular company in the sector. On the issue of people flying private jets, I don't know about that because I just gave an analogy of how much business class cost a year ago and how much economy. I know so because I now fly economy instead of business class. I know it. And I know also a number of my colleagues, all of us now struggle for seats in the economy class because that's basically what we can afford. And if you talk about our industry not being sustainable the way it is, people cannot keep high costs actually. So that analogy of someone saying that people were on fast rise and all that, it's not right. Okay, so how do we find, and honestly, your reasons for telco wanting an increase, they're valid, right? Everybody's feeling the pinch. But is there a way that we can find a balance between people's ability to afford this? Because we are still an economy where minimum wage is 70,000. In fact, even me saying it's 70,000, some people, our YouTube comment section, I will soon start seeing people saying nobody's getting 70,000, we are getting 35,000 and the likes, because not every state has been able to enforce that. But everybody, we are all connected by the services that telecoms provides. So people who are still struggling to make ends meet, who are still struggling to pay transport fares, struggling to get food, how do we balance the very valid need for the telecommunication costs to increase and the also very valid need of the average Nigerian to be able to make ends meet? That's why there is the need for us to maintain and sustain the industry, because we are the transport access for a number of other sectors of the economy. I'll give an example. If you have to make a trip between Lagos Island and Lagos mainland, you take an economic decision. Should I call or should I visit? You have to attend a meeting in Abuja. You take a business decision. Should we set up the meeting virtually or should we congregate in Abuja and meet in Abuja? And so that infrastructure that provides alternative ways of getting better solutions, getting better delivery, is our infrastructure. And we all must allow that infrastructure to continue to survive, to be able to drive other sectors of the economy. So I would say, whilst we note the critical nature of the services that we provide, we also must recognize that it is the superhighway on which other sectors of the economy thrive. And we must allow that highway to remain throughput, to remain in good state, in good health, so as to be able to continue to be the driver of other sectors of the economy. So we can't subsidize people's impact on other areas of the economy with our services, because we are the gateway and the highway on which other infrastructure rides. And it's typical essential service, basically. Now, given the competitive nature of the telecom industry, will operators have the flexibility to set their own rates, or will they have a standardized approach to pricing once this tariff change comes into effect? We set the rates ourselves, but I put the regulator to manage it. Regulators don't determine market rates. We approve regulator to say this is how much the service costs us today to provide. Can you approve that we can charge? The regulator will conduct what they call cost study, look at all of the elements that make up the performance of an efficient operator. And then they would say, okay, this is the minimum band, this is the highest band, so all of you can operate within this band. So if you decide to price low, you can price but not lower than this for reasons of competition. You can price but not higher than it for reasons of competition. And that's the role of the regulator. So the mechanism to managing that already exists with our regulator. We just approach the regulator with the request to review prices, and regulator will use the mechanism and instrument of determination that they have to determine where the price should be. And so putting the issue of price determination or price fixing on our regulator is certainly not right, because regulator does not fix the prices. Prices are left to market forces to determine, but regulator has the mechanism for managing it within the index, the economic index, and the variables of the market.
All right, so I mean, as we wrap up the conversation, when are we expecting this increase to take place, and what will the structure of the increase look like?
Well, we have approval for 50% review on our current rates. So what it means is that whatever you are paying now, whenever the new tariff regime sets in, it will be a bit more by
So 50%. If I pay typically 20,000 for my internet for 120 gig, meaning I should expect to start paying 30,000.
Thereabout, something in that region. And also, we're also simplifying our tariffs. Part of what the government has requested is that we made the tariff simpler, easier for people to understand and to interpret. And also, we're under obligation to deliver better quality of services. And so, the price regime, new price regime, we are following out the regulatory process of getting the final approvals. And once that comes through, people will start seeing
in March?
Reduction, maybe way before.
And can you guarantee Nigerians that once this tariff comes into place, they will stop? It would improve the quality of the calls, drop calls would be a thing of the past, and service quality.
We are going to work intentionally in improving quality of services. Given all the challenges of our operating environment, we'll do the best that we can to have the right investment, to deploy the right technology, to the right solution to guarantee good quality. It's something that we are committed to. The part of the directive that the regulator has now given that with the new price, we must deliver better quality of service. And
if we don't get the better quality of service, if it still remains at the level
I will be here again to answer your questions.
We'll hold you accountable to your words.
Very well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benga Adebayo, Chairman of the Association of Licensed Telecoms Operators of Nigeria, Alton, for joining us on Breakfast Central. We do appreciate your
Thank you for your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
So Nigerians, fasten your seatbelt to brace up, because it would seem that this increase is most likely coming your way, whether you like it or not. But we'll go on a very short break, and when we come back, Benga is bringing us Which Way Nigeria.
Imagine waking up to the sound of screaming people burning alive, the air thick with stench of charred flesh, the streets littered with bodies too burnt to be identified. This is not a war zone. This is Nigeria, where fuel tanker explosions happen so often they barely make the news. Over the past 5 years, these disasters have killed more Nigerians than some terrorist attacks, and yet nothing changes. The statistics are horrifying. In 2020 alone, Nigeria recorded 1,531 fuel tanker crashes. That means 4 accidents every single day, leading to the deaths of 535 people and over 1,100 others suffering burns so severe they were unrecognizable. Fast forward to 2025, and the nightmare continues. In January, a tanker explosion in Suleja killed at least 70 people as they tried to scoop fuel. Just days later, another blast on the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway claimed 18 lives in an instant. This is not an accident. This is negligence. These disasters are not just bad luck. They're a direct result of recklessness, greed, and government failure. Tankers designed to carry 33,000 liters are illegally overloaded with up to 75,000 liters, turning them into rolling bombs. Our highways are riddled with massive potholes. It makes it almost inevitable that these unstoppable trucks will flip over. When they do, all it takes is one spark and an entire community is wiped out in seconds. While still, the economic crisis has driven Nigerians to desperation. People now rush towards overturned tankers with buckets, hoping to collect free petrol. And then, as we have seen time and again, tragedy strikes again. These aren't numbers. Behind every statistics, there's a shattered family, a life destroyed in an instant. In Ogun State, for example, a man lost his entire family, his wife, and his 3 children, and his mother when a tanker exploded in front of them. One moment, they were together. The next, they were gone. In Lagos, a young boy ran out to fetch fuel from a spill. His mother later found only a piece of his school uniform, burnt to ash. These are not isolated incidents. These are stories of loss, of grief, of preventable death. This is not just a tragedy, it's a failure of leadership, a failure of accountability, and a failure of conscience. The government must act now. Overloaded tankers must be taken off the roads immediately, while highways must be repaired to prevent further disasters. Public safety campaigns must be launched to warn people about the dangers of fuel scooping. And tanker owners, companies, and reckless drivers must face real consequences for the lives lost due to their negligence. How many more bodies must we count before Nigeria finally wakes up? Good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you very much, Benga, for asking those very deep, heartfelt questions. Because at the end of the day, we can't ignore the fact that this negligence is an ongoing situation. We see them all the time. These tankers have become a menace to our roads. Even this morning, on our way to work, there were a number of them, and I was just wondering, what are they doing?
And one of the reasons, I mean, just yesterday, and kudos to the First Lady, she went to Niger State and presented a check of 100 million to victims of the last explosion. But beyond those checks and, reactionary moves, there needs to be the political will to take on this head on. And the reasons why these things happen time and time and again is because there are no consequences for this behavior down the entire value chain. There are people responsible for these, and people haven't been punished. That's why.
Well, anyway, that's all that we have for you on today's show. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back again same time tomorrow, but there are other shows, of course, that will be happening right after we exit the studio. But please do well to continue the conversation with us at News Central TV on our social media platforms. Yes. We'll be back again. I am Olive Emodi.
And I'm Benga Boro. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.